So, folks, we have some news about Xbox, and apparently this is G Day at Xbox. G stands for gloom. This is gloom and doom day over at Xbox because Xbox has suffered as part of the 9,000 plus layoffs at Microsoft. There's been some significant cuts that have affected Xbox as well. Let's go through it. And then as we go through what these cuts are, let's talk about as well why I think the conversation around Xbox, regardless of what side you're on, I think it's become stale and stagnated. There's a message that I have to a particular group, and it's all because one particular group. I can sit here and try to seem unbiased and down the middle and say, well, this side needs to do this and this side needs to do that. No, I do something at work, and I've been working for a Fortune 500 company for a few decades, right? So one of my tasks is whenever we have a problem, we are to problem solve it, and we do something called an RCA. That's a risk cause analysis where the leadership sits down and we talk about what caused the issue and how can we assure, for the most part, it doesn't happen again. Because that's been embedded in my DNA for the last several decades, almost 30 years now we're going on. I can't sit there and fluff the facts. I can't sit there and say, well, let me smack your hand too, because I don't want your sibling to feel bad, even though your sibling is responsible for breaking the cookie jar. I don't want them to feel like I'm piling. No. We don't do that. We get to the root of the problem. We're going to do a root cause analysis, okay? Or we're going to set up shop to do a root cause analysis, because I'm going to be honest with you. We did a root cause analysis years ago on Xbox. None of you guys didn't want to listen. It's where we're at, where we are now. So let's transition. Let's try to open the door for root cause analysis to finally be done on Xbox. And let's stop having these, oh, I'm shocked conversations whenever we have days like G-Day happening at Xbox or Microsoft. In order for us to start this process, let me first take you here. All right. So shout out to Shinobi Shinobi602 to be exact, over there on Twitter. Has a series of tweets defining the news for today. It starts off with Microsoft to lay off as many 9,000 employees in the latest round with its Xbox division, included job cuts at King, 200 jobs in ZeniMax and EU. Then it didn't stop there, folks. There's more. Everwild has been canceled as layoff hits Rare. Then the new MMO RPG project from ZeniMax Online Studios has also been canceled as the Xbox layoffs. Let's continue. Blizzard VP of Quality Assurance Waladia Summers tells all QA to work from home today. Today will be very difficult. Continues. More on Xbox layoffs. Nearly 50% of Turn 10 studios. Forza Motorsport are being laid off, as well as more cuts to subsidiary studios, including Call of Duty teams like Raven. They're hitting Call of Duty. Jeez. Doesn't stop there. Perfect Dark has been canceled, with Xbox closing down the initiative. It continues. Banjo-Kazooie and Sea of Thieves director Greg Miles is leaving Rare after 35 years. Shinobi continues. Now here goes some good news for, I guess. I mean, maybe it isn't good news for some of you, because I'm seeing a lot of Xbox sicko fans finally start saying, you know what, I expected ABC and I'm getting XYZ, and I feel like Phil is at the root of it. Okay, so now they're saying that maybe there should be change of leadership. Some are just referring to Sarah Bond, but now they're putting on the table Phil is a problem. Phil might be a problem. So some of you this might not be good news to you, right? Some of it So for some of you, it might be good news that Phil supposedly is not retiring anytime soon. This is per a spokesperson acknowledgement to the rumors that hit Twitter today once all these layoffs hit. But you can trust Microsoft as far as you can throw them when it comes to stuff like this. Last but not least, from Shinobi says Xbox's user research team has been hit with layoffs, with nearly 50% of the team laid off. Okay, so there we go. We caught up with the news. Here's what I want to do. I also want to start the root cause analysis process and help you guys do that. The reason why I think, honestly, absorbing this news, okay, it's like, you flipping through your phone, or if you're old school and you still get the paper and you want to fold it on the bus on your way to work or whatever. It's just like flipping through the news and, there was a car crash down the street. Stocks tumbled. To me, looking at this, because my phone was buzzing in a particular DM about, oh my God, did you guys see what was going on? And I checked it out and I was like, what did I miss? Because I did see the Phil Spencer supposedly retiring part. Now that would be big news. Sorry for that mic hit. That would be big news. But when I found out that the studios were laid off and games were canceled, I'm going to be honest with you. And it's not because I don't care about the layoffs. I've already talked about this, and I always care about layoffs. I've told you guys my own personal story. I was laid off multiple times with the same company and ended up coming back to the same company, right? So I understand the difficulties of that. And under no way, shape, form, or fashion am I just like being whimsical about people getting laid off. I've been a victim of it multiple times. I've also had to be on the other end of laying people off. So it's never a fun thing to go through, especially when it puts you in a situation where you're unclear what your future is. Now, but here's the thing, the news, not the real life effects. My heart goes out to the people who are dealing with the real life effects, because again, I'm very familiar with the process. All right. So I find it odd if some of you that have never gone through anything like that try to say, oh, remember, you don't care. Shut up. Just shut up and sit your rear end down somewhere. My thing is that the news surrounding it, I'll be honest with you, I just don't care. And when I say the news around it, I mean the ramifications of the news around it. I care about the real life effects. I don't care about the ramifications as it relates to Xbox, the news around it. Here's why. If any of you are surprised by this, and I'm not talking about the trolls that like to go out there and fanboy one way or another. They're always going to find stuff to pick at each other, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you guys that think you're integral fans, that you're not fanboys. You think in your mind, right? You're not sicko fans, and you just believe in Xbox and want the best for it. If you didn't see this coming down the pike, I wish I could get you a CAT scan. I wish I was that type of content creator where I make that much extra cash, because I would just put it back out there for you guys to get your head examined. Something is clearly wrong. All right. Problem is, Xbox, yes, was very deceitful and sly in announcing what it wanted to become. But after the veil was dropped in 2023, there should be no, and the gauntlet was dropped in 2024 as far as exclusive titles are concerned, there should be no more mysteries. Xbox is going to shed its old skin and it's going to try to become something completely different, something that you guys may not like. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you a prime example. One of my granny kids, those lantern flies, right? When they're the little baby things that are hopping around, they're like little ladybug things. Oh, she thinks they're so freaking cute, right? But once they turn into a lantern fly and she sees one of those things, she screams like, her lungs just shoot out of her mouth because she thinks those things are disgusting, right? Whatever you thought was cutesy and cool or whatever about Xbox before it morphed into the lantern fly, it's now going to become the lantern fly. What does the lantern fly represent? It represents an abandonment of the native a console structure to a more PC/cloud-based structure as far as promoting the Windows Store via the PC base or application, whatever you want to call it, right? It's using the PC structure to promote Windows Store. That's what it's about, number one, through cloud and through PC. Secondly, it's about making their games available wherever their games can be made available. Hence why, or wherever they feel like they can make money making their games available. Hence why they're going so hard putting their games on PlayStation. That's what Microsoft/Xbox is about now. Really, Xbox does not want to be Xbox anymore. They would prefer to just be Microsoft Gaming. But because you sicko fans that don't think you're sicko fans would go ape nuts about that, they put on this facade, toting around the Xbox name in vain. They're not Xbox anymore. Think of them as Microsoft Gaming. That's purely what they are. Their main objective is to promote Windows 11 for gaming and to convert its consumers to go to Windows 11 based gaming. All right. Also, they want to sell as many games as they can on PlayStation or wherever else they feel like they can make money. That's it. That's it. Why? Because people were like, well, what about the money in Steam? And they're not going to get a cut of Steam. They don't care about that. Here's why they don't care about that. They don't care about that because all they care about is Windows being at the center of your gaming experience. If Windows is at the center of your gaming experience, there's so many things that they can slide in, apps. There's so many things that they can slide in that'll either make them money on the back end or force you into a subscription like Game Pass or something like that. So as long as they got Windows in the background of your gaming, they are happy. Why is that their direction right now? Because they realize that being a closed consumer gaming console, not the textbook definition of a console. Like a console, the textbook definition of a console is just simply an electronic device that has certain functions. Like you could have a console, right? You ever been at work and someone says, "You're logging to the so-and-so console," right? We're not talking about the textbook definition of the blanket console. We're talking about a gaming console, where a gaming console has native functions. It has dedicated gaming functionality. Its game file extensions are native to that device, right? And you can play it. You can only play those native files via that console. That's why they were calling the Xbox gaming console at first a hybrid. It was supposed to be hybrid native gaming / cloud gaming. That's why it was considered a hybrid. Now they're trying to use the textbook, or not a la carte, but 5,000 feet in the sky electronic term for console, and they're trying to play sleight of hand with you. Don't fall for it. If you are someone that wants a gaming console experience, that's not what Xbox plans to deliver. Xbox is working with people like Alex ROG, Ally X or whatever. They're working with ROG to brand PC handhelds. The same type of PC handheld capabilities that you can get anywhere else. The only difference is you're getting some special Xbox UI on there. Look. My PC, I have the Xbox UI installed on my PC. Was my PC an Xbox when that UI was installed years ago? No. Just because they want you to think that way doesn't mean that you have to drink the Kool-Aid and be like, "Ooh, my PC is an Xbox now." Then my PC would be a PlayStation too, because I can do cloud gaming on PlayStation. On my PC. Or my PC is a NVIDIA, is it GeForce Now? No, those are the apps that are on my PC. This is a PC that I have that can run some native apps. All right, point blank. Now, if you like that, not a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that as long as you know what you're getting. Xbox wants to be a glorified Ubisoft. They first and foremost just want to be a distributor of games, and they're taking the Ubisoft route of being a publisher and a distributor of games through a platform as well. Now, when I say take the Ubisoft route, of course, Microsoft was doing it first, like Ubisoft Connect came after the fact. But Ubisoft also has its own streaming service. Wouldn't be surprised if it would be like if Ubisoft partnered with Dell and made the Ubisoft box or the Ubisoft handheld. You know what I'm saying? Or just labeled it Ubisoft or whatever. We wouldn't be considering that a gaming console. It's just a device that's branded with Ubisoft, right? So there's that. If you're okay with that and you're okay with a PC/Steam box inspired device that is coming down the pike, if Xbox continues to make it themselves and them not subsidizing it like how Steambox wasn't subsidized, and you paying $1,000 for some machinery that may not perform as well as a $600 console, then that's fine. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? Just understand that when it comes to that actual Steambox-esque Microsoft first party made device, that's where PlayStation could pull the switch and say, nope, this is now competing with our console. You know what I'm saying? Because it has a console form factor, even though it's running off of Windows, it's still, targeting our market audience and putting a device next to their TV. Nope. Our games can't be played on there. And believe you me, there are multiple ways they could do this. It is possible that they could do this. One of the ways is they could go through the extremes of yanking their games off of Steam. Why wouldn't they do this? Do you really think that Steam, because there's rumors that Steam might make a Steam box, right? So do you really think that Steam would make the Steam box another console, right, that would have access to the Steam library, which includes PlayStation games, and PlayStation would allow that? No, we talked about that, and nobody was like, oh no, that's a crazy idea. PlayStation would never do that. Yeah, if it's competing with their console, absolutely. Even if it is PC based and they feel it is crossing the streams too much and targeting their demographic, there's multiple things they could do. Do not listen to people that tell you there's nothing they can do. It's their game. What do you mean there's nothing they can do? That's absurd. It's their game. That's like telling someone, you know what? Even though these are your cookies and we're selling them in our store, we can't take them off the shelves because you want us to. If I don't want my cookies in your store anymore, they can get yanked immediately. Stop that. And do not listen to people that are quoting omnibus service level agreements that they probably got from the developer of Fizzle Chisel Tizzle Popper and said, oh no, there's nothing in Steam's terms of service that says like they actually got the service level agreement or the contract that Steam has with PlayStation. Like, stop it. These things can be catered differently, publisher to publisher. There's not one blanket form, but of course these guys don't know business like that. They've never done contracts or agreements like that, so they talk silly like this and don't realize they sound stupid. So just be careful with that. Could be a situation where PlayStation says, you know what, we feel like that this effort is so niche we don't care. That's possible. Or PlayStation could say, you know what, we do care when it comes to the first party Xbox quote unquote console or the Steam box. If it returns, we're yanking our games from that. So you either make it non-available on your console, or we pull the games from the store, right? And here's the thing with that. People are like, Mike, PlayStation doesn't want to lose the money. The spit in the bucket of money that they're getting from PC, like PlayStation's PC launches for their first party and their second party games, opposite of Helldivers, and there may have been one other game that was decent. They've been horrible. Like the numbers for Spider-Man 2, one of the best games I've played in the last several years. Those are embarrassing numbers for that game. So PlayStation could very easily say, you know what? This is a niche market that would even get into something like this, a way more expensive. Like our demographic is not going to pay more money to wait a year or more for our games that are inferior, than the console experience. They're not going to do that. They're going to keep their PlayStation. They may say that and say, who cares? We'll let the people on Twitter argue about it. Who cares? Or they may yank it in some shape, form, or fashion. Now, back to letting Xbox being Xbox. If you're okay with those ramifications, the branded PC handhelds or OEM stuff, or whatever you want to call it, or the first party Steam Box S type thing, if you're okay with that, and you're okay with, instead of you getting a console that's subsidized that gives you the latest tech, you paying a whole bunch of money for just a console version of a PC, if you're fine with that, then fine. You understand what's going on. You know what to expect. And you should also understand that because Xbox is changing course like this and they're really not trying to compete, the things that they have on their docket that they got to spend money on that you would keep if you're trying to compete, they are now going to get rid of. That's why any of these layoffs, for as much as the real life consequences are severe, the news doesn't matter. Why? Because if you're not trying to compete anymore and you're just trying to distribute, and you really don't have, like a mission statement or any gusto to put out the biggest and baddest quality of anything. If you are just running gimmick after gimmick after gimmick, which Microsoft is all about, they're just about putting something out there and just replicating it. Cookie cutter. The quality job one, that's never been the Microsoft way. Never. It's making something more convenient for you and just getting it in your face. That Microsoft has always been about convenience and quick in your face. They've always been McDonald's. They've never been Ruth Chris Steakhouse. The whole basis of Windows is about convenience. People used to tired of putting all these daggone codes in there to do stuff. Okay, we slapped like this UI on top of it. Now, was it janky at times? Absolutely. They tweak things here and there, and just when they begin to tweak things, the next version would come out and it would mess everything up all over again. Microsoft has never been about the best of the best. The only time that they've represented about being the best of the best are, oddly, their Surface laptops and Xbox. OG Xbox 360. That's the only time that they represented trying to be the best and something. But now they've given up on that. They're just about distribution and ease of access. So if you're okay with that, right? Like, let me give you a prime example. Normally I wouldn't name names in a function like this that potentially could go public, but I'll do it just for the sake of it. I had Paris Lilly on here a while ago, right? And we talked about some of his takes and why his takes are perceived a certain way. And I admitted that I have felt like, he was just drinking the Kool-Aid just because or whatever. But he announced to me and said, hey, look, man, this is how I truly feel. I know I said this, but I've changed. I said, okay, all right, I'm going to take you for your word. Even though I don't agree with him, Paris seems to be one of those people that likes the distribution part of Microsoft, regardless of the quality of life type stuff. He's okay with forsaking the quality of life for that ease of access. Fine. Not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. Here's what I do have a problem with. People like this. People like Jez Gordon, who continuously try to make it seem like that it's more than just convenience, like Microsoft is fighting and they're going to prove something to PlayStation and they're going to give you something that can replace PlayStation or outshine PlayStation. No, absolutely not. Like, even with as successful as the Nintendo Switch is, Nintendo with a Switch type of device can't replace PlayStation. excuse me, they can't do it. The offerings are cool, they're unique, they're different, and as we see with the numbers, they can be hell of a lot more successful, but they can't cannibalize or absorb PlayStation success at all. They do not cannibalize their demographic. So instead of Xbox gamers talking like that and saying, look, Xbox is carving out its own lane, they're going to be successful somewhere else, they still want to make it seem like that Xbox can do something to cannibalize PlayStation success. I've had a conversation with a good friend who gave me this story about how they feel like that Xbox's end game is to get Windows 11 on PlayStation and Nintendo. And I didn't say anything at the time. I had to absorb what they said, but then I want to say now, like, why in the hell would Nintendo and PlayStation do that? The amount of money, for instance, that PlayStation has invested with AMD, with its future AI and machine learning and PSSR with FSR4, why the hell would they want to integrate messy ass Windows into that? Like, what are we doing here? They are so far advanced beyond what Microsoft could ever provide them as far as console gaming is concerned. They don't want that crap on there. It's not going to service them anything. But again, the Xbox sycophant community can't help but always create this lane or this alternate reality where whatever Microsoft does is going to cannibalize the PlayStation demographic, instead of trying to say, hey, look, there's a third lane that can exist and they can see success here. So again, if you are ones like Paris who talk about that third lane, fine, cool, don't have a problem with you. My problem is people like Jazz who continue to talk and lump in what Microsoft is doing like they're still in the same lane as PlayStation. They are not. Jazz says here, why is the gaming industry struggling now? The gaming industry is facing a significant shift now in how players play games, with nearly 30% of gamers expected to buy no new games in 2025. Titles like Fortnite, GTA Online, and Roblox now take up approximately 40% of players' total gaming hours, right? And it's based off of this article by Early Game. I don't know who these people are, but one significant thing that I question in this article that Jazz is now all of a sudden citing, like this is GameIndustry.biz or something, is I question the methodology that they come up with a lot of this stuff. I was looking at the sourcing, and a lot of it is they're taking particular sourcing, like how much money is put into games like Fortnite or whatever, and they're drawing up their own conclusions. Like, yes, percentage wise, more gamers are playing these free-to-play games, but that's because these free-to-play games have drawn in new gamers, and they've drawn in people that normally wouldn't game that are now playing these said games. So let's just say, for instance, I'm gonna just put a rough number out there. Let's just say if there's 500 million gamers before the free-to-play craze, right? And the free-to-play craze comes in and it brings in another 400 million gamers, right? And say all of those 400 million gamers, all they do is play free-to-play games, while the 500 million they buy, let's just say the 500 million buys their games. And again, these are just superficial numbers up here, but I'm just making it easy for you to digest what I'm trying to say. If prior to the free-to-play craze, if all 500 million original gamers bought games, that's 100%. But guess what? It drops down to 60, not because less gamers are buying games, less percentage, but there are more gamers playing altogether when you combine in these added new free-to-play game. You know what I'm saying? So I would have to see more from what I saw from the article. I just think the methodology is flawed. It's just like when people used to argue with me, games are actually less expensive to make. And I'm like, no, they're not. And what people were doing was they were lumping in the actual total cost to make games in the numbers of games that are in there, and when you average it out, it's less, but you're adding in mobile games and indie games. Of course, when you're talking about cost to make games, the focus should be understood. We're talking about AAA games, and definitely AAA games did not get cheaper to make. All right. So I got a problem with Jazz. I also have a problem with Destin, because Destin is the king of obfuscate, right? He says every bad decision or mistake Xbox makes has been blamed on buying Activision. And he says about how he doesn't think it's just about the one decision. Look, everybody's not blaming everything dumb or bad that's happened at Xbox on Activision. Like, for instance, this is an Xbox campaign. That's a Sarah Bond thing. That she's doing that regardless of Activision or not. Now, here's what I will tell you. I'm not listening to Destin. I don't listen to Phil Spencer, but I do listen to Phil Spencer under oath. And Phil Spencer under oath during the FTC trial said Activision Blizzard wasn't, and I'm paraphrasing here, wasn't like a new plan. It was an accelerant to our plan, meaning more of this dumb stuff that people don't like, you're seeing it more rapidly because they're saying now that we have Activision Blizzard, we can lean more third party because we're done trying to battle PlayStation. We're done doing it. We're tired of it. We're converting over to a completely different lane than where PlayStation is at, so they can let us put our games there and they can just let us do our PC thing. And there's no slither of competition whatsoever. They can stop trying to fight us and not allow games on our platform and money hat games because we're on the Windows platform. You know what I'm saying? That's where Microsoft is trying to get at because they don't want to spend money today. I mean, they have way more money. They have 25 times more the market cap value than Sony, but they don't want to spend their money battling Sony because they realize that money alone is not going to help them win. They got to have the talent, and they don't. And Satya Nadella doesn't know what talent is when it comes to gaming. He's familiar with Phil. Phil was in charge at the time where Xbox finally got out of the red and got into the black and started making money because they scaled back so much and was selling controllers and making money off of Fortnite and Minecraft. This is who he's the most comfortable with. He may not have been happy with Phil with everything that he's done, but he's not trying to go risk for like a Peter Moore or shameless blackmail or whatever. He's not trying to do that because in the back of his mind, he's probably like, those people just want me to spend more money. Then which again, if you spend $100 billion to acquire games, fine. But his MO is we control these games. We can do whatever the hell we want with them. I'd rather just do that than go back and forth trying to money hat and inspire new games. Let's just let these people continue to do the cookie cutter games that they've been doing. And hopefully we'll continue to see success out of it if we put it on just a conveyor belt operation type, right? But that's my thing, is that the problem is people like Jazz and Destin, they continue to try to piggyback off of you and your ad revenue that you provide them when you click on their stuff or listen to what they have to say and make it seem like that Xbox is still in the fight. They're not in the fight. Xbox at any given moment would love to just be Windows gaming. They can't because you guys would make too much of a stink. But they're all about just making Windows the premier platform for PC gaming. They don't want to battle or do any competition with PlayStation. Would they like to make more money than PlayStation? Yes, but are they trying to do it in a competitive way? Absolutely not. All right. So with that said, Xbox gamers need to just come to that realization, and they just need to stop trying to act like that they can whatever they can do can cannibalize the PlayStation demographic. No, the lane that PlayStation's in, Xbox cannot compete in. And I would reckon to say that they're going to have an even more difficult time trying to battle Steam. Like, I think PlayStation is a formidable foe, but trying to take away PC gamers from Steam, oh my gosh. Because you can forget about it. Like, you're not going to convince a PlayStation gamer, oh, instead of getting my game day one on PlayStation on a cheaper piece of hardware that comes out better than it does on the PC counterpart, and it comes out day one, it comes out sooner, I'm gonna spend more money to get an inferior game, just so I could access Game Pass. Like, no, stupid. What's more likely is, I'll continue to play these Xbox games on my PlayStation, and I'll just pay full price for them for the ones that I'm interested in. Duh. But when you talk about them trying to take over Steam and battle Steam, oh my gosh, I just don't think they have the talent to do it. They got all the money in the world, but they don't have the talent to do it. And I think it's a more difficult challenge to overcome Steam than it is to beat PlayStation. And if you can't be played, I just don't see how this is successful. If you like the direction, that's one thing. But I'm just arguing with people that are trying to make it seem like that they got this master plan and now they're going to make the PlayStation. PlayStation is going to suffer. If PlayStation suffers, it ain't got nothing to do with this at all. But people like Jazz, people like Dustin, they continue to float this stuff out there and make it seem like that it's taking away value from PlayStation. And so you can continue the good old fight and no, it's over. Go home, John Rambo. The war is over. It's done. Stop listening to these people. Let Xbox be who they want to be, which is a PC/cloud-based distributor of their games natively. And they would like to put their games wherever they can that's going to make money. And if you're okay with that future, that's fine. But if part of you being okay with it is because you feel like it's going to cannibalize or hurt PlayStation, you need a CAT scan immediately. All right. Well, that's it. That's it from your boy. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Because like I always say, I'm curious what I think. If you like what I had to say, check out the links below to follow me. They will lead you to MM2K Gaming, Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage. With that said, peace. Have a wonderful gaming day.